Okay, let's begin. As I said, I'm Jesse Price. I'm the head of business development over here at ProsperWorks. Excited to have you all on the call today. A little bit of housekeeping before we get started. There are a couple of ways to ask questions during today's call. You can either use the chat window in your GoToMeeting or GoToWebinar console, or B, there's a little icon that looks like you're raising your hand. And if you want to chat live, you can go ahead and hit that icon, and I can open up the audio channels, and we can talk live. So I will stop periodically during the presentation to ask questions, but feel free to use that chat window at any time, and I'll skip back to you guys periodically and address those. So let's get into it. We're going to do just a couple of slides here, give you some background on ProsperWorks, and then we can jump into the demo content. So if you're on today's call, maybe you've asked yourself some of these questions. Do I know what my sales team is doing each day? Do I have a clear understanding of how much revenue we're going to bring in this month? Am I basically doing everything I can to grow my revenue, and how can I get more organized and productive? So ProsperWorks can help in a few different ways. It's a CRM that we've really designed to increase adoption as much as possible. So it's essentially a CRM that your team are actually going to use, which is great because if you've got the data in there and the data is accurate, you're going to get those insights that you need to help create a repeatable sales process that's based on best practice that you can optimize over time, and that will give you the visibility to help coach people to producing as much as they can. So for sales reps, ProsperWorks is super easy to use. It's part of your everyday workflow using Gmail, calendar, and so forth. And we try to eliminate data entry wherever possible because we all know that reps would rather be out there selling than sitting in the office and doing admin. I know that applies to me for sure. Now for sales leaders, it's all about kind of knowing what your team's doing, getting new team members up to speed as fast as they can so they're being productive in the shortest amount of time, replicating the A players on the team and giving the other people on the team a process that they can follow that reflects that best practice. And as I mentioned before, it's ultimately about getting good data that you can use for your forecast and for planning around your business. So we've got all kinds of customers that use ProsperWorks, from online education, people like Udacity, tech companies, to health-related companies, people like healthcare.com, and tech companies like software companies like 10Xer, who were recently actually just acquired by Twitter, as a side note. So a little bit about us. We've got, we started in January. We started selling the product in January, but we've been around for about 2 years. We're an official Google for Work partner. We are very well funded. We've raised about $12.5 million in venture funding through True Ventures, who are a pretty well-known investor here in the Valley in San Francisco, and Bluebird Beta, and also Crunch Fund. We've had thousands of customers come through the platform, so we have several thousand each week that are using ProsperWorks to help grow their business. If you have any other questions about this, we're happy to address them. Just reach out to your salesperson. You can find out a little bit more about us and the team. And that's really it for the presentation content. I just want to give you some brief background. So now let's go ahead and jump into the demo. And I always start the demo here in my inbox because this is where, if you're like me, you spend a lot of your day interacting with customers through email and scheduling appointments. So as you can see here, if I open up an email from an existing contact, someone like this guy, Jacob, we get access to all of his basic contact information here on the right. So things like his email address, his phone number, social profiles, and address. So it makes it really easy to reach out to Jacob and engage with him as a customer. When you add people to the system, we also pull in the last 12 months of email activity and calendar events. So once again, we try to reduce data entry, so there's no copying and pasting or forwarding emails to a BCC address and then associating them with a contact. It's really easy. You just add them to the system and we'll do the rest. Another thing that you see here in the feed, which is really interesting, is the email tracking. So when you're responding to your customers, you can actually check this little box down the bottom for the ProsperWorks email open tracker. And that's going to allow you to get a pop-up notification as soon as they open the email here in the extension. and you'll be able to see in the feed how many times they've opened that, or in some cases, if they haven't opened it, and that's also valuable information if you're doing your follow-up. Over here on the right, we have what we call our related items, and this is where you can create sales opportunities and tasks, review your calendar events that have taken place with this contact, look up files and so forth. But I'll walk you through this in just a moment when we go through a day in the life exercise. So that was for an existing contact. Now let's go and have a look at a new contact, and we'll kind of work through a process here of getting a new business inquiry, creating an opportunity, going out and closing that, and then using our reports to kind of help us fine tune the sales process. So here I'm going to open up an email from my friend Jack, who wants to look at a new website concept. So I can respond to Jack and say, sounds great, and track that email. And then the next thing I want to do is add Jack to the system as a contact. You can see here that right now I'm getting a preview of all of the information that we're able to gather about him, from his job title, his phone number, address. We'll go out on the web and find all of the social profiles that relate to him. So Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Cloud, Crunchbase, you name it. And we can add that to ProsperWorks. As you can see, we've already filled out the contact card for you, so there's no typing. And you just hit save and he's in the system. Now in the activity feed, you'll notice that we've just pulled in all of that previous email communication, including tracked emails as well. So we can see that he hasn't opened it yet. When he does, we'll get a pop-up notification letting us know. Next thing in the process, I want to add a sales opportunity because I know that he's interested in a website and I want to be able to track that in my pipeline. So I'm going to say Jack's new website for Q3. We'll create that opportunity here. I'm going to give it a close date. So I think that I can probably take this deal down by the end of the month. I know that it's worth 20 grand to my business. I'm going to put it in the follow-up stage in my process, and you can certainly customize these, which we'll go ahead and do in just a second. And any comments you want to add, the rest is kind of up to you how much you want to fill out, but then we can just go ahead and save it. Now that we've got that sales opportunity in the system, I also want to remind myself to go and follow up with Jack. Maybe send Jack a proposal for the Q3 website. I'm pretty forgetful, so I use tasks all the time. And I'm going to put this one in there for Thursday. I'm also going to give myself a reminder. And what this does is sends me an email about it. So I'm going to remind myself tomorrow afternoon that I have to do this. I might need a couple of hours of prep time. So I'm going to put that at 4 o'clock day prior. I'll save that task. And a great thing as well here is that if I go over to my Google Calendar, that task is going to show up at the time that I specified. So it's going to kind of be there right inside of my daily workflow where I'm looking at my meetings. I can review my follow-up tasks. And if that's getting a little too busy and I just want to focus on my meetings, I can toggle that on and off using the calendar selector on the left here. So now that I've got that task in there, I've got all my email activity, I've created this sales opportunity. Maybe I want to jump online onto the website and look at that in a little bit more detail. So far we've just been in the Chrome extension for Gmail, and as you can see, we can do a lot from there. We can add contacts, we can create follow-up tasks, we can work with our opportunities, but we also have the website, which helps us get into a little bit more detail around a specific record, something like this sales opportunity that we're looking at here, and helps us also do some sales planning. So I'll show you how to kind of use list views and reporting to understand your business a little better. So right now, what we're looking at is the opportunity record for Jack's website. As you can see here, we've got all the information that we just entered on the left, so value, close date, so forth. We've got the activity feed through the middle. I can certainly log notes here. So maybe I want to log a call that I made. Spoke about the project, and I can add that to the feed. And I can also go and review my emails down here, see the tracking, which is useful to know, he hasn't actually opened that email yet. If I want to see that the way that it appears in Gmail, I can also click on the subject line and I'll get the HTML version of it. It's all nicely formatted. You'll see images, all that kind of good stuff. And then on the right-hand side, the next thing I want to do is sort of review my related information. So I can see that Jack is related to this deal. If I want to go ahead and add someone else, maybe a partner that we work with called Adam. So I'll add him to the opportunity. And you'll see that Adam's activities are now part of the feed as well. So we kind of get that overview of all the people involved with this deal. We can see any tasks that are related to that. And I also want to add a proposal. So I'm going to link to my Google Drive here. I'm going to go ahead and look in my client docs folder. I'm going to find my requirements document here. I'm going to add that to the deal. So now that's really easy to review, and I'll get the latest version from Drive each time I click on that. So just a nice way to get some context around these documents in addition to what you already have in Drive. Next step is that this deal is looking great. I'm well underway here. Now I'm kind of curious, like what's happening with all of my other deals that are in the pipeline. So I can jump across to my opportunities section. And what you'll see here is a sales process that you've established across the top. And the cards that sit below represent those unique business opportunities or potential revenue for your company. Now you'll see here, this doesn't really look quite right for a website company. I don't have a home open scheduled. That's clearly not part of my process. So I'm going to go in and customize that really quickly and say, rather than follow up, I'm going to say it's this one is review the design. Actually, let's say review the design spec. Then we can update that opportunity, and you'll see that now we've modified that process. We can also create multiple pipelines. So if I want to create one sales process for my direct sales here, I can do that. Maybe I want to go and create another one for my partnerships. So reseller arrangements. We can do maybe projects. So once we've closed the deal, maybe we want to scope, design, ship. We can even do recruiting in one of these pipelines as well. So maybe receiving a revenue, doing an interview, kind of moving these cards through the process. So over here on the website card, you can see that we've got all of the deal information. We can review the activity feed. And once we've followed up, we can go ahead and just click and drag that forward. And let's say put that in the review design spec stage. And anyone who's following that opportunity will be also notified. So the little star here means that you're following it. You can follow and unfollow. And these little task indicators tell me that there are things that are happening that are coming up in the next 24 hours if it's yellow, or maybe it's overdue, and that would be a red indicator. Now, the process here is that basically you continue to move these through. Maybe you go and finalize that job with Jack, and then ultimately you want to mark it as a one deal, or sometimes you lose, hopefully not too often, or abandon is sort of like a middle ground. Maybe they just went quiet and you want to archive that for later. So let's mark this deal as one. What it's going to do is suggest that we convert now these guys into current customers rather than potential customers, and that's going to help us with our organization and be able to filter our contacts accordingly, which I'll show you in just a moment. We can add some notes about why we won. We can just say he really liked our design team. We can add that note, and now that deal is completed. You can certainly use the filters over here as well, by the way, to drill down on the data. So right now I'm just looking at all of my open deals, but perhaps I want to have a look at just the opportunities that are assigned to me, and more specifically that are closing this month. And now I've really kind of narrowed that down to just 4 key opportunities that I can focus on and start to move forward through the process. So once we've done that, the next step in the sort of CRM lifecycle here is that we've talked about getting your contacts in the system and categorizing them, current customers versus potential customers to get organized, creating tasks to remember your follow-up, implementing a repeatable sales process that's really easy for the team to follow and that gives you kind of some guidelines when you're having those sales meetings each week to kind of see where things are at. But it's also useful to do some reporting to get that high-level picture of the business and help to really kind of improve your process as you go through the year. So here you can see that I've got a pretty good amount of pipeline in the system. We can see that I've got like a little bit down here in the prospecting stages. I've got quite a lot in the upper stages, negotiation through to job finalized. So this is great. So my take on this, just looking at this snapshot, would be that I probably need to spend a little bit of my day doing some prospecting, maybe calling some of our regular customers and trying to build some pipeline so that I can start to move that through the process. Otherwise, what will happen is when I close these, I'm going to run out of stuff to work on. You can change the time frames here as well. So I'm looking at this year. Maybe you want to focus on just this month and see where things are at. Maybe you want to focus on a specific rep. So in this case, let's go ahead and have a look at my pipeline for this month. And you can see I've got a couple of good deals here. It's not a bad situation to be in. It's the 20th of the month. I'm probably trying to close these out, but I certainly want to make sure I've got some pipeline for next month as I go into it. Now, if you're curious about, well, what are these deals that make up the negotiation stage? You can always scroll down here, have a look at the row in question. I can see that I've got this one opportunity for a pretty good amount. I can click on that, review the activity feed, and get up to speed on what's happening with that. I can see the phone calls, the emails, and so forth, anything that's related to that deal. So people, tasks that are associated with it. So I know that I was supposed to do a follow-up call here. I can mark that as complete, review any files that are attached, and you name it. So going back to the reports, I'll just talk about a couple of other examples that I find really useful and that I use every day. So looking at the pipeline volume by assignee is really useful if you have a team and you want to make sure that either work is evenly distributed or kind of people are meeting the expectations around pipeline build and how much they need to be generating to hit the revenue number at the end of the day. So we can once again go down and have a look at all the summary information here by assignee, get up to speed on kind of where people are at. And another great one is the things like the sales history. So being able to see kind of what's our performance over time. So I'm looking at the year and you can see that the green bars are how much we've won. So it's nice to see that heading up and to the right. The red bars are how much we've lost and the blue bars are how much is still open. Another good one is the loss reasons report. So if you are losing deals, let's face it, happens to the best of us. You can customize these loss reasons and it's really going to help you kind of identify any bottlenecks or roadblocks in your process. So if you find that you're consistently losing against a specific competitor, maybe you want to put some tactics in place to coach the team, come up with some competitive battle cards, make sure that everyone knows how to respond to any objections that come out of that. If it's that you're lacking a certain feature, like if you're building a product or a service of some kind, maybe your pricing might be a little out, but the loss reasons report is great for getting some insights and getting, I guess, taking a positive away from what could be a negative situation, missing out on some revenue, but learning from it and improving that process so that you go out and crush the next deal. So that's kind of the life cycle so far in terms of adding your contacts, creating those opportunities, moving them through a process, and then learning from these analytics that you get in the report section to really improve your business and fine tune it so that you ultimately increase your win rate. From here, I guess I'm going to kind of switch gears a little bit and just talk about a couple of hints and tips and some best practice with the time that's remaining. So we've got a little over 5 minutes left. I'm just going to pause and take a breather for a second as well and see if there's any questions. So if you all do have questions that you'd like to ask, please go ahead and use the chat window and I will respond to them just in the next couple of minutes and then we'll go into just some tips and tricks. Okay, yeah, no. First question here is a good one. We definitely have mobile apps for Android and for iOS. And if we have a little bit of time at the end, I can actually show you how that works. I've got an emulator here, so we can take a quick look at that. But it looks like there's no other questions, so I'm just going to press on. Oops, let me go back to my other window. Okay. So what I was talking about earlier with the contact categories and being able to organize and just sort of like use filters to sift through your data. Let's just take a quick look at that. So here I am on the people list view. So a couple of tips here. Number one, you can customize the columns that appear on this list view. So if you hit the little gear icon up in the top right, you'll get a list of all of the different fields that are available. And a few that I strongly suggest adding: inactive days, the number of interactions, and when they were last contacted. So this can be really useful for making sure that you're keeping in touch with existing customers, or maybe making sure that you're reaching out to those prospects on a regular cadence. So how we can do that is by then using our filters, having a look at let's have a look at our current customers who maybe we haven't contacted since before the start of the month. So that gives me a really nice little list here. I can then sort it maybe by the number of inactive days, going from the most in terms of people that we haven't hit for a while to the least. And if I scroll down, you'll kind of see how many interactions we've had, when they were last contacted, and so forth. Now that I've got this list of people, current customers who I haven't talked to for a while, maybe I want to go and select them and add them to a MailChimp campaign. What this is going to allow me to do is to set up a campaign in MailChimp, which is an app that a lot of people love using. It creates beautiful emails. It's really easy to set up. Once you've established those emails and those campaigns, it's really easy just to add them to one of these campaigns, subscribe them, and they'll receive that content. From there, once they've received it, they may respond and engage with you and get an opportunity going. And once you go and have a look at their profile, you'll be able to see that MailChimp feedback right here on their contact profiles. So you can see that Jacob here has been involved with 2 different email campaigns that we've run. One of them we decided to pause for some reason. The other one that we sent, but he didn't open that email. If he opens it, you'll get that feedback here, or if he clicks on it and so forth, views that email. So yeah, great way to engage with people, like in a marketing sense, and be able to get that feedback right here on their contact profile. The other thing that these interaction fields allow us to do, which is really useful, is to create some automated actions. So this one is not much to demo, but I encourage you all to play with it in your trial accounts if you've got one. So if you go to settings and then automated actions, you can set up some workflow here to say if a contact has not been interacted with for, let's say, 30 days plus, maybe go out and create a task for that contact owner to follow up with them. Or another example is if you move an opportunity forward through to the send quote stage, maybe you want to create a task for the opportunity owner to go and create a quote, send it out, and then mark that task as completed. So these actions are a great way to, once again, support best practice in your business. So if you know that it makes sense to call a customer, 30 days after a deal closes because you have a far less risk of churn, for example, then that's a great use case for creating one of these actions. So you can kind of set and forget and know that the team are going to get reminded to go and do those things. Just finally, the last thing that I'll show you all is the concept of suggestions here. So if you're out running around town, interacting with your customers as you should be, kind of in front of them, out there selling, and you forget to put people in your CRM, we all kind of do it from time to time. You can come into your suggestions here, and I'm going to click on view all suggestions, and we'll prioritize a list of people that maybe you want to add. So this is essentially based on the pattern of communication between you and these folks. It makes it really easy to categorize them. I can say, yep, Sean here is a partner that we're working with. I want to add him to the system. I've already crawled all of Sean's information, so I don't have to do any typing. I can just hit save, and he's now being tracked, and any email communication will also be tracked and so forth. So if you got a new trial account, this is a great way to seed it with some recent data. So I'd encourage you to jump into suggestions, maybe add some people. That'll give you a nice starting point to trial ProsperWorks. Or if you're already a customer or already using ProsperWorks, then this is a great place just to make sure people don't fall between the cracks and that you're following up with every potential lead. So that's really it for the demo content today. I'm going to just take a look and see if there's any other questions at this point. And it looks like it's pretty quiet out there. So I'm going to assume that I've done a great job here and you guys are all up to speed on ProsperWorks and feel really confident about what to do next. But look, if you're not, I've got an email address on screen. You can always contact sales@prosperworks.com or support@prosperworks.com, and we've got a team standing by who would be happy to help. So if there are no questions, I'm going to wrap up the call, but I want to thank you all for your time. It's been a pleasure presenting to you today. Certainly let us know if we can help in any way and look forward to having you on board. Have a great day.